Welcome all. I'm very pleased today to be joined by the head of mission of the European Union mission in Armenia, Mr. Markus Ritter. So Mr. Markus Ritter, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
There's been a little bit of confusion in Armenia with regards to the EU civilian mission, what its purpose is, what it can do, what it can't do. Obviously, it's a civilian mission. It's not a military mission, but it has representatives from a whole swathe of different EU member states. So, as the head of the mission, can you explain exactly what is the purpose in your mind of the EU civilian mission in Armenia? What are its functions and main activities?
Yes. The main function of the European Union mission in Armenia is to support the peace process that has been started by the European Union in October last year in Prague, when the President of the Council, of the European Council, Michel, the French President Macron, and the President of Azerbaijan and of Armenia, they met there, and it was agreed that something should happen to decrease the tension in this area here. So it was decided to send a civilian mission to operate alongside the border to Azerbaijan and the confrontation line. It should be a purely civilian mission, and the tasks are to patrol. That is what we are doing every day, to patrol alongside the border, to report to Brussels what is going on, so that Brussels has an idea what's going on here. The second task is to patrol to the villages that are affected by the conflict on the Armenian side, to visit the people, to ask them how they are feeling, to give them some feeling of confidence and hope, and also to report this to Brussels, how the people are feeling. And the third is to try to support a kind of confidence building. These are the three tasks of the mission.
Okay, and even yesterday there was clashes in the town of Yeras. 2 Indian nationals were injured, and the EU civilian mission went to this area of the country. I also want to ask, there was information circulating about new operational centers, but this wasn't exactly accurate. There was mention of towns of like Jermuk and Ijevan. Can you clarify exactly what was this development about operational centers of the EU civilian mission?
The mission was decided by the European Council. It got 2 years mandate. That means within these 2 years, nothing can be changed. So from the very beginning, it was planned to have the headquarters in Yegignadzor, to have forward operational bases in Kapan, in Goris, in Jermuk, in Matuni, in Ijevan, and in Yegignadzor for the Arad region. The only thing what changed now is that because we are in a startup phase, and we are only now out of these 103 planned international members, around 60, we have not permanently staffed all these forward operational bases. So far it's only Goris, Jermuk and Matuni. And what we announced last week is that now, with more staff coming in, we will be hopefully able to permanently staff all the others that I have mentioned now in summer. That was the case.
And also a technical question. Not everyone involved in the EU civilian mission is necessarily a monitor. There are different roles for different people. Can you explain a bit the different roles?
Yes. We have these 6 forward operational bases. They will be staffed by 8 to 10 monitors, including a team leader, a deputy team leader. These are the ones who are patrolling every day and going outside. Then beside this, we have in our headquarters administrative staff. It's from human resources to procurement, finance, logistic, transport, whatever. Also a security detail, because I have to take care of my people. Mm-hmm. We have a medical advisor, I have a press information officer, a political advisor. This is the rest. So you can estimate that out of these 103, maybe though around 50 will be monitors who are really out patrolling every day, and the rest do other things.
Okay, and the EU Special Representative to the South Caucasus, Toivo Klaas, said that the EU civilian mission reports directly to Brussels, informs teams in Brussels about the situation on the ground. Also, there is a communication mechanism, as I understood, with the Azerbaijani side. Can you explain what is the communication mechanism with Baku, and also the reporting back to Brussels?
Okay, let me start with Brussels. This is our main addressee. So all the reports we are doing, all our findings, what we see is directly reported to CPCC, the Civilian Planning and Conduct Capability as a part of the European External Action Service in Brussels. They get our reports, and from there, most of them are spread to the member states. What we are doing through the office of Toivo Klaas is we notify some of our patrols that are close to the border to Azerbaijan, to Baku. This is for us first. For me, it's matter of duty of care. We want to avoid misunderstandings. We want to avoid that our patrols are involved in things we don't want to have any dangerous situation, whatever. We also want to use this as a kind of confidence building, that the Azeri side knows where we are going. And we notify also to the Armenians where we are going. Every side knows around 4 days in advance where we are going. And this is for us, and is in first hand, a matter of duty of care.
And I think that there's also been some misunderstanding. The EU civilian mission is not obliged to release statements after every if there's violence or clashes. Some would describe it as the European Union's eyes and ears on the ground. Can you explain this? Is this the case? It's not really obliged to release statements whenever there is a spat of violence.
Because within our mandate, what I said, these 3 lines of operation, it's also that we have to be impartial. Because this mission was planned that both sides accept it, and otherwise it cannot be as a tool of from the European Union for confidence building. That also means that our reports go to Brussels, and we don't do any fast statements on things we cannot really verify. That would spoil our reputation. And I'm sure it's accepted on both sides that we don't make fast statements on things. And I'm sure it's appreciated.
You said in late March that the EU's mission in Armenia could be considered a success if Azerbaijan doesn't attack Armenia in the spring.
That was a quote that, first, it was not an interview, it was a background talk with several German-speaking journalists. And that was not an assessment from our side. I spoke, as I did here, about our patrols to the villages, to the people who are affected, to whom we want to bring some hope and some the feeling that international community has an interest. And I was asked, what are the people afraid of? And that was my answer. It was not my assessment. It was what we hear from the people on the ground in the villages. And but that was not an assessment from the EU about the situation.
Okay, well, Markus Ritter, head of the EU civilian mission in Armenia, thank you very much for your time.
It was a pleasure, thank you.
And thank you for joining us on Civil Now.